Meghan have understood that if they didn't jump, he was going to be pushed, and they could not afford the embarrassment of him possibly being arrested.
Yeah, they've changed their mind. They've changed their mind, Richard, because they realise they're not making the money. They're hated in Hollywood. They're not even invited to the Oscars or the Emmys. So King Charles has to wake up, okay? Because the idea that Harry and Meghan are coming back here just to be private citizens is delusional.
Meghan Markle stands for nothing because she said these people drove her to want to take her life, that they ruined her mental health, they treated her horribly, she was crying, they had to flee the country. Clearly everything was fine because now you're running back the second you need a little bit of dough, and PhD, Papa has dough. So they're going back to King Charles.
Harry and Meghan want you to believe this is a homecoming, family time, healing the rift. That's the story they're selling. But, according to one royal insider, that is not what's actually happening here. She's saying the real reason has nothing to do with King Charles and everything to do with federal scrutiny back in the US. She's not being vague about it either. She's pointing to one exact date, August 11th. That's the day she claims everything changed behind the scenes. Not a press release, not a family dinner. Not some heartfelt phone call with the king, a date most people watching this have never even heard of, and one that apparently set off a chain reaction nobody saw coming. To understand why that date matters, you have to go back to what insiders started noticing weeks earlier.
And they could not afford the embarrassment of him possibly being arrested. While now, if he's no longer living in America, they are hoping that the whole thing will go away. But as long as he was living in the United States, it wasn't going to be going away. In fact, it was intensifying.
But he says, and we say bye-bye. And it's the headline of them. Everyone in Montecito is so happy to see them go, and these people are rich, honey. They are rich. Okay, not Meghan Markle, selling wickless candles. Bye-bye. Everybody's happy to see them go in Montecito.
Here's what actually got announced to the public. Harry, Meghan, the kids packing up and moving back to the UK. And the official reason, straight from their camp through page 6, was that they wanted to be closer to King Charles. They wanted their children building relationships with family they barely see. On paper, that's a nice story. It's the kind of thing that's easy to nod along to if you're not paying close attention. But royal commentators didn't buy it for a second. Almost immediately, people who follow this family for a living started saying the timing felt wrong, too sudden, too convenient, too neat for a couple who spent years insisting they were done with the UK for good. And that's when the real claims started surfacing. Insiders are now saying something happened just 9 days before that announcement ever went public, something that had absolutely nothing to do with family or healing or Christmas dinners with the king. And according to one longtime royal commentator, that something has a name. The commentator making this claim is Lady Colin Campbell, and she's been dropping royal intel for decades. Here's what she's saying. She claims her sources told her US federal authorities were reviewing Harry's original visa paperwork. Not a rumor she heard once, she says. This review reportedly kicked off on August 11th, the same date from the top of this video. Same day.
They're moving back to the United Kingdom because Harry is endangered as a result of the feds. On the 11th of August, there was a meeting with the feds where they were inquiring into and looking into the paperwork that he submitted. There is a strong belief by the feds that Harry lied on his paperwork to be able to gain admission to the United States.
That's not a coincidence. That's the whole story clicking into place. And if this is true, this isn't a homecoming. This is an exit. Think about it. You don't randomly relocate your entire family across an ocean 9 days after a legal review starts, unless you're trying to get ahead of something. She's specifically pointing to paperwork from 2021, the year Harry filed for his original visa. That's the document allegedly under the microscope right now, not last year. Not some recent slip-up, a form he filled out years ago, apparently coming back to haunt him at the worst possible time. And once you hear that, the whole "we just want to see Grandpa Charles" story starts falling apart fast, because nobody uproots 2 kids from their entire life over a feeling. People move that fast when something is chasing them, so what exactly would that paperwork have to hide?
The whole thing is rushed because Harry and Meghan had no idea what the feds were up to when the feds started to investigate all of the papers that he submitted starting on the 11th of August. And today is now the 20th of August. So we're speaking about 8 or 9 days. So obviously the whole thing is rushed because...
According to Lady C, this isn't a slap on the wrist kind of situation. She claims visa fraud allegations like this reportedly carry real federal penalties, the kind that could mean actual prison time if proven true. Let that sit for a second. We are talking about a prince facing the same legal system as anyone else who lies on a government form. Here's the part that makes people pay attention anyway. Moving countries doesn't necessarily make a problem disappear. If US authorities really were looking into this, hopping on a plane to London doesn't erase a federal inquiry, it just changes the zip code. And that's exactly why so many people are calling this an escape dressed up as a family reunion. But legal risk isn't the only theory insiders are floating. There's another layer to this, and it's one that's been floating around for a while. For months, there's been chatter about Harry's personal life out in California, rumors that never fully went away no matter how much the team tried to bury them. Nothing confirmed, nothing official, just persistent whispers that kept circling back. And according to commentators, that chatter might be a big part of why Meghan is reportedly so eager to get the whole family out of the US. Not because she suddenly misses London weather, because distance solves problems that statements can't.
Lady Colin Campbell, what on earth is going on? Just weeks after you revealed to the world this close, shall we say, friendship that Prince Harry had developed with a certain young lady in Montecito, they claim to be packing their bags.
Some say this move protects more than just his legal status. It protects the image. It protects the marriage, at least on paper. And this is where things escalate fast, because Vanity Fair has reported on claims that Meghan has been quietly shopping around a tell-all book. Not a memoir about royal life, a book reportedly tied to a divorce scenario.
Actually, this woman was touting around an autobiography to publishers that would only be written, Lady C, following a divorce. Even Harry had to wake up.
Think about that for a second. While the public story is, we're moving closer to family, there's apparently a manuscript floating around built on the idea that this marriage might not survive. That's not a small detail. That's the kind of thing that changes how you read every single headline about this move. And that book claim connects to something even bigger, the custody question. Here's the theory commentators keep coming back to. If this marriage really is heading toward divorce, relocating the kids to the UK could reportedly strengthen Harry's position in a massive way. And no, this isn't some deep legal mystery, it actually makes sense once you break it down. In custody cases, where the kids have been living their home country, their school, their community, all of that carries real weight. Courts look at stability, they look at roots. So if the children are settled in the UK when any custody fight kicks off, Harry isn't the guy trying to drag his kids across an ocean. He's the guy already standing on home turf.
And those children are back in the United Kingdom. That means that the marital home is in the United Kingdom. That means that Harry is in a far stronger position in terms of any future place where, in the event of a permanent separation.
Oh, yes.
Now, to be clear, this is commentator theory, not a courtroom outcome. Nobody's filed anything, nobody's confirmed a split. But it's exactly the kind of move you'd make if you were playing multiple chess games at once. Legal protection, image protection, and quietly, custody protection too. But there's another number driving this decision, and it's not about the kids, it's about money. Okay, this next part isn't a rumor, this one's actually backed up. Tax expert Nimish Shah, who runs a real advisory firm in London, broke down the numbers, and they're wild. Here's the rule. If you leave the UK and stay out for 6 full tax years, you avoid capital gains tax on assets earned while you were away. 6 years, that's the magic number. Now check the timeline. The Sussexes left in 2020. Count it forward, and this return lines up almost exactly with that 6-year window closing. Not close, almost exact. So whatever else is going on here, someone clearly did the math. This wasn't a spontaneous decision made over breakfast. And that math lines up a little too perfectly with everything else we just talked about. The legal timeline, the marriage rumors, the custody theory, now the money too. Everything pointing the same direction at the same time, which makes the official reason they gave the public look a lot thinner. According to commentators, King Charles, William, and Kate are reportedly still keeping their distance, completely unmoved by the big announcement. Meanwhile, Team Sussex is out here pushing the story that this move is all about building family relationships, healing old wounds, getting the kids closer to their grandfather. Sounds lovely. Except nobody inside the palace is confirming any of that warmth. This is all commentary, not official palace statements, and that gap is exactly the point people keep raising. And there's a theory going around that this entire narrative isn't really aimed at Charles at all. Some are reading it as a pressure campaign and specifically aimed at one person, William. And that pressure campaign is exactly what critics say happens next. Now, here's where it gets fun, because watch how differently people are reacting depending on which side of the ocean they're standing on. In America, the New York Post basically threw a party with their headline, straight up calling it, "Our long national nightmare is over." That's playful, that's blunt, that's an entire country collectively exhaling at once. But flip over to the UK, and the mood is nothing like that. British commentators aren't celebrating anything. It's less welcome home energy and more pure exhaustion, like watching a sequel nobody actually asked for. Same announcement, same exact day, same couple, and 2 completely different countries reading it in totally opposite ways. One side sees relief, the other side sees round 2 just getting started. And honestly, that split says more about this whole saga than either headline does on its own. So, which read do you think is actually right? So here's where we land. Officially, it's a family reunion, kids bonding with grandpa, old wounds healing. According to insiders, it's something else completely. Legal trouble, marriage trouble, custody positioning. None of that second part is confirmed. But the tax timing is real, documented, and lines up a little too perfectly to be an accident. Reunion, escape, or strategy, you decide. What do you think is really going on here? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you're new here, hit like, share this with someone who needs the tea, and subscribe because we're just getting started. This is Jane Expose, and I'm here for the next Meghan and Harry drama. See you in the next one.